everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's video, we're going to discuss Chicago. Chicago, Brandon Johnson is planning to, actually, they approved 70 million more dollars for the immigration crisis that is looming over Chicago. You know, Brandon Johnson, he's received a lot of backlash from his own supporters, the people that voted him in, because Brandon Johnson continues to put illegal immigrants first instead of tackling the homelessness problem in Chicago and the violent problem in Chicago or Chicago's crime. He continues to throw a lot of money at this immigration problem. So we'll discuss this all today on another episode of Business Talks.
Little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
You guys put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. Put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. Let's see who we have in the building. We have Ken Act of Kindness. Thank you for tuning in from Minnesota. And I love my ad block all the way from Nuremberg, Germany. Thank you for tuning in once again. You guys, I'm running a little bit late because I told you about my husband's car on Monday. We had to take it to the dealership because they're having a massive recall on those type of vehicles. So that's why I'm a little bit late. Okay, so and we also have Kim Johnson from Chicago. Thank you for tuning in, Kim. Okay, so let me just share this with you. Brandon Johnson, he received some backlash from mayor or one of the aldermans. Okay, one of the aldermans is criticizing Brandon Johnson because he continues to throw money at this problem, this immigration problem. However, he is not taking care of his own, as city approved $70 million for migrants. Now, this part of this committee, I guess, in they had overwhelming support. The vote was 20 to 8 or 20 to 7 or something like that. And they're saying that once this board approves this, it goes to the floor for the city council to vote on it. But the request, it was a $70 million request, comes after Mayor Brandon Johnson initial 150 million allocation for migrant funding. Okay, and this is Alderman Lopez. He is getting, well, he's always spoke out against Brandon Johnson on his migrant crisis. Okay, one thing he's going to talk about is they're having a measles outbreak and a tuberculosis outbreak. Okay, so and it's because of illegal immigrants coming in, and they're not setting. They don't have the same requirements as you will have for you and I, U.S. citizens. If we want to send our kids to school, we need to get our kids fully vaccinated, minus the COVID vaccine. But if you're not fully vaccinated, and if it's not a religious reasons, you're more likely to have some kind of pushback from the schools of like why you're not vaccinating, why your kids is not fully vaccinated. And those requirements, they don't have that on the illegal immigrants. So this is what Lopez had to say about Mayor Brandon Johnson.
The 56 known measles cases are reported in the Windy City. Chicago Alderman Ray Lopez has warned about this issue for months, and he joins us now. So, Raymond, you warned them that this was going to happen, but they didn't listen to you. Are they listening now?
You know, Lawrence, good morning. I don't know how much our Department of Public Health or other officials are listening to the alarms that we've been raising since August of last year, and even in September when we had receipts from our ambulances showing that we had individuals testing positive for tuberculosis. This is a crisis we could have avoided, just like with the measles, if we had simply instituted the American standard of vaccines upon all of those migrants being shipped to the city of Chicago. Many of these individuals come with children, they are in our schools, and all of those vaccination requirements that our kids are responsible for are waived for the migrant asylum seeker children. And that is putting people, families, and communities at risk.
You know, Raymond, I've been so perplexed because, you know, I've been out there reporting, talking with the folks. They're upset. I know your district, and the people there are minorities. They're also, you got immigrants there as well. But it seems like the mayor has tried to paint those that are critical of this sanctuary city policy and not having a response to the people there as anti-immigrant.
Without question, we have seen where efforts by this administration to put migrants on a toxic dump site were labeled as racist when people like myself and community opposed it, saying it wasn't healthy for them or for the neighborhood to have all of that dust kicked up. Even when I brought this issue about tuberculosis, measles, and mumps to the forefront, I've been told that I'm anti-immigrant and xenophobic, even though I'm the great-grandson of immigrants. So they could gaslight all they want, but at a certain point, the truth is going to come out, and we're seeing it come out slowly and steadily now, as we saw with the measles and as we're seeing now with tuberculosis.
Real quickly, because I only got 15 seconds, Raymond, do you think people in Chicago, because of this issue, because I haven't seen people at these city council meetings like this in a long time, do you think they're going to start voting differently just based on this issue alone?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Americans are fed up with seeing themselves being leapfrogged over by those coming to this country just to get service and support. And I think that at some point, this is going to drive a wedge, particularly for the Democratic Party, my party, with our core base of African American and Latino voters who feel as though we have not invested in them the way we're investing in these migrant asylum seekers.
Such a valid point. A man of the people, Raymond Lopez. If you ever want to know what's going on in Chicago, go visit Raymond. Raymond, thanks so much.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with Lopez. You're not think in Chicago residents because you continue, and let me say this first. Well, you're not investing in Chicago residents, number one. You continue to invest in these migrants. And then number two, what does that say about the aldermans? This committee that approved this $70 million budget, and you continue to have your own residents that voted these aldermen in, they voting a different way, totally different than what the residents want them to vote on. Case in point, let me just share this with you. So it's saying that the city council committee approves Mayor Johnson's $70 million request to fund the migrants. This is city council. You're all upset. They know the residents are upset with, you know, Chicago being an asylum seeker or a safe haven for quote unquote asylum seekers. And we just might as well call them illegal immigrants. Chicagoans are upset about this whole crisis, and you're trying to force feed them to accept these migrants. So throw this whole committee away. In a vote of 20-8, the budget committee signed off on the following a debate that went on for hours. But some alders want to pump the brakes. I have yet to see anything for my community, and that's David Moore. We're throwing money out the window on a population of people who are coming here, and they're living better than people who are already here. That's Anthony Bill from the 9th Ward. I'm assuming they voted no on this budget. Brendan Riley, there's no found money. There's no free money. The decision that we make in the next couple of days about these larger buckets of money that exist are going to have a profound impact on our ability to balance our budget in 2026 and subsequently 2027. It says for months, Mayor Brandon Johnson avoided asking the city council to approve more funding for migrant services. He decided against making the request despite reports he promised that the state and the county of Chicago would authorize more. As Monday morning, there were 9,173 residents in 18 cities and state shelters. Roughly 39,000 migrants have arrived in Chicago since August of 2022. Johnson administration says migrant support cost the city $295 million through the end of last year. And you continue to fund this nonsense. To me, Brandon Johnson and the city council, whoever's approving this budget, they need to go on an audit. Somebody need to audit them. What the hell are you doing with the money? Does it really take $295 million to house migrants? How many shelters can you build for $295 million or revamp, remodeled? Like they said, they're taking one of the old buildings downtown and they trying to remodel it for new housing or whatever. But you could have, this is money that's just been going out the window. And remember, a couple of months ago, or not even a couple of months ago, about a month ago, we discussed the migrant budget, how much they spent on each migrant. They're spending $5,600 on health insurance for a migrant. $5,600 a month for a migrant. Now, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but if these are young, healthy individuals, it sounds like some money laundering scheme to me, because I know. And number two, why in the hell, if you're not making vaccinations or whatever mandatory with the migrants or illegal immigrants, you're not making it mandatory. So they're not receiving care. What are they receiving? Can somebody put in the chat, where is this money going to? Before the city council got underway, Governor Pritzker urged a yes vote. Why, Governor Pritzker? Why are you urging a yes vote and you already mad that you're spending all this money? The 70 million request comes from after Washington sent 19.3 million in new funding for the state and the city to care for new arrivals. Hello, somebody tell me 70 minus 19. You still get a $50 million deficit. Come on. Does any of these people attended any kind of math class? Okay, 19.3 minus 70 or 70 minus 19.3. Come on now. This is basic math. Basic math. You still don't have enough. As the morning, so they're saying, oh, we got 19 million more. What is this? Are we idiots? As the morning of April 15th, there were we just read that part. I don't know why they repeated the my thing got mixed up. Anyway, I know there's generally a feeling like, hey, it's our money. We should apply it to the people who lived here for a long time. But the reality is it's much better for the city and for the state if we provide basic humanitarian care for people who arrived here. This is your last term, Pritzker. Pritzker think people are playing with him. They getting pissed off. You're throwing all this money on this migrant crisis. And you're just ignoring the people that voted you in. He's ignoring them. And no one's saying, hey, maybe we ought to step back and rethink about what we're talking about. Step back and think about, hey, maybe we are spending too much money. We got so many citizens mad with us, our own residents that voted us in. They're mad at us right now. Okay. Let me get to some of your comments. I love my Abrax said, when are my fellow Black Americans realize that the Democrats don't like or respect us and the rest of the United States citizens? No, they don't. They don't like us. They don't respect us. They really, people that's running the country now, they're pretty much anti-Americans. They just don't like the American way. They don't like what Americans stand for, or what it used to stand for. They trying to erase that part of America. That's what I believe that's happening. Because when you usher in and open up the doors to flood your gates in cities with a different culture, a different race of people, you have what we've been seeing in Chicago. Not only Venezuelans, you see what we had. These are, I'm assuming, legal migrants that are here protesting, and they pro-Palestine, or pro-Palestine and pro-Palestinian. Okay. Monday, I didn't talk about it, but Monday they shut down the gateway to O'Hare Airport. They shut down the freeway. You couldn't get to O'Hare Airport, and then for hours because they're protests. Okay, protests saying, yeah, we believe that we should have the right to strike back. And they was waving their Palestinian flag in the street. And then yesterday, Israel turned to a return strike, and now everyone's saying, and I looked at Twitter, everyone's saying, oh, no, we should end the bloodshed. But the other day, Sunday and Monday, there was people in Chicago saying, yeah, good job, Palestinians. They struck back. They, whatever. So you got all these people here from different countries, and their main agenda is their agenda, even though they fled from their country or whatever reasons why they over here. Their main agenda is some other agenda. It's nothing to do with America. And then they want Americans to sign on that agenda. And then we have people in the White House and in making laws signing on to that agenda. A totally anti-American. It has nothing to do with America. That's nothing. Ukraine has nothing to do with America. Israel doesn't have anything to America. But you have all these other people. You open up this floodgate and you get all these other people that has nothing to do with America. Okay. And that's why I say, oh, this is like mainly it ushered in a whole bunch of other people that don't believe in American culture. They don't believe in it. They're not pro-American. They're not going to sign up to protect America. You got people, in matter of fact, I seen another video in New York, a person burning down the American flag. And this is a pro-Palestine protest. It's burning the American flag because I guess Joe Biden don't have the balls to say something, to make a choice of, yeah, I'm pro-Palestine, I'm pro-Israel, or just say, I believe that in a ceasefire, enough is enough. He's never said that. He's never taken a stance. So that's what you have. Okay. Had not heard of tuberculosis since 1970. Tuberculosis is probably dead and gone in our country, but they make doctors take TB shots. And if you're elderly, my dad had to get a TB shot. But tuberculosis, I mean, it still exists in other countries. And when you have open border policies, and then you don't make people come in, you require it on your citizens, but when you have other people coming in from different countries, you don't require, those are not the requirements, which is kind of baffling to me, because we just got over a pandemic that everybody was running scared from. Oh, you're going to lose your job if you don't take the vaccine, and which they already proven the vaccine doesn't do any damn thing. Anyway, don't let me not go down that rabbit hole. Kim Johnson says he has done nothing for the residents that live here. And it's a bunch of foolery. You're absolutely right. Brandon Johnson, like I said, getting back to Brandon Johnson in this immigration crisis, when he says he's inherited this crisis, he's totally right. He did inherit this crisis, but he ran on, hey, this is what we're going to do about the immigration. This, what we're going to do about crime, and all the things that he's ran on, he hasn't did nothing. He hasn't put no plan in action. And the plans that he had put in action, like Alderman Lopez said, he tried to build a tent on literally a waste site, a toxic waste site. And they call people saying, oh, you're just being anti-immigrant. No, it's like, I'm pro-American. Okay, I want to treat my people kindly first, and do stuff for them. And then number two, you let them over here. Just because you let them over here and they need free aid, that don't mean throw them anywhere. Like, that's just crazy. So they could be growing out a third eye. I'm telling you, I've mentioned this before. 10 years from now, Venezuelans going to try to get reparations for the treatment, the inhumane treatment. Because you try to put them on the toxic dump site, or you put them in tents, and they're going to call that inhumane treatment. They're going to be asking for reparations. You guys mark my word. This is April the 17th at 2:15 p.m. That's what's going to happen. Okay, let's just get back to what they're saying. So Pritzker, I think he's out because he sounds stupid. He wants people to, vote yes for this $70 million, and you only got $19 million. How about just vote yes for the $19.5 million that we received? And let's use what we got. Let's work on what we have and use the budget. Don't try to rearrange the budget because you got this whole crisis going on, engineer crisis going on. Let's use what we have. Also on Monday, there was initial discussion about Mayor Brandon Johnson plan to borrow $1.25 billion for economic development for affordable housing. But the plan has been slowed down by Alderman Bill Conway, who wants to shrink it and put in place more council oversight. I believe Bill Conway is absolutely correct. Mayor Brandon Johnson, he probably is on the borderline of Keith Freeman. Don't know how to balance a budget. I don't think he knows his up from down. He's one of those guys. He's in la la land. He's in la la land. He's not structured. Anytime someone asks you a question and you stop the reporter and said, hey, I'm a black man, got a black wife. Okay. What's that have to do with anything? You're a black man and got a black wife, and that's how you do. That's your excuse of dealing with crisis. Like, come on now. Just like every other man out there probably got a woman and some kids. Is that your excuse for not doing your job? And if you can't handle having a black woman, which is a total insult, and some black children, you might not have run for office. You knew you was going to be in the hot seat. They fired, your citizens fired, what's the girl's name? That's Lori Lightfield, because her response on crime. And so if you can't handle the heat, stay out the kitchen, Mayor Brandon Johnson. So he wants to borrow the $1.25 billion. Bill Conway saying, no, we need to shrink it and we need to put more oversight on what you're spending it on. Bill Conway and these other aldermen, you need to actually ask for an audit on the migrant crisis budget. I will ask for an audit. They should put a resolution in and ask for an audit on what the mayor and his people been spending this money on. Because right now it sounds like you haven't been doing nothing. And it says it's no secret that there's an issue of trust between the mayor's office and city council stemming from the Brighton Park NASCAR shot spotter Garter World favorite staffing, to name just a few off the top of my head. So I guess the issue is Brandon Johnson turned his back on all these things that they probably budgeted and agreed upon. Mayor Brandon Johnson wants to get rid of. That's what I'm assuming. And I'm just assuming that because of Shot Spotter, I just read about the Shot Spotter where he wants to get rid of it because he claims that it has no purpose. They haven't rendered in any results from this Shot Spotter. As the young man or the individual that lost the little girl on Monday, he mentioned, hey, I looked on Shot Spotter and it said it was about 50 shots that was in my neighborhood, or during this whole massacre that his daughter died in. I don't know where Brandon Johnson is getting his information from. But like I said, Brandon Johnson is in La La Land. Okay, so this $1.25 billion that he's planning to borrow, it's a thing. They want to put it on hold. They want to put the brakes on this $1.25 billion. They said they delayed it. Now that's what they said. Mayor Brandon Johnson's plan to borrow the $1.25 billion for affordable housing delayed. It says over the next 5 years to fund the affordable housing and other economic development projects across the city hit a temporary roadblock on Wednesday, as the mayor allies delayed a final city council vote on the measure. The City Council Finance Committee had approved the measure early Wednesday morning, but when the full council met on Wednesday afternoon, Finance Committee Pat Dow moved to delay the final vote on the proposal. A vote now could be held as soon as Friday. You want to borrow $1.25 billion, but do you have a plan? That's what the initial response was. Have you guys seen a plan? Or you're just the mayor's whatever.
Over 400,000 people
saying it's a good job. Oh, whatever the mayor comes up with, you saying, oh, this is a good idea. Yeah, I have a lot of good ideas. My son has a lot of good ideas. Matter of fact, my 10-year-old was, he's taking this, I got him on this coding class. And they're able to do coding on their little laptops that we bought them for Christmas. And he was telling me about the solar system. And I was like, and he's like, wouldn't it be great if the white hole could do the black hole? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, but it sounds like a great idea. But he's 10, okay? So what I'm saying to you is anybody could come up with a good idea. Can you implement these great ideas? And these great ideas will sound like a good idea. Are they smart? Are they smart? Specific, measurable, attainable? Was it reliable? And what's the T stand for? Are they smart? You know, are they smart goals? And I don't think so. The mayor goal is to borrow 250 million a year throughout 2028 to fund efforts to expand affordable housing and boost small businesses and nonprofits. This is what I have a problem with. Affordable housing. Okay. Oh, we need affordable housing. That I'm not denying that. But now you want to boost small businesses and nonprofits. Is that with the $1.25 billion? So now it's more clear that you're trying to do other shit with it. So you really not doing affordable housing, because if you was going to do affordable housing, and I believe in boost small businesses, because you want, if they're living in that area, you got to have a corridor. Okay, we probably need a grocery store. We probably need what's the needs of the people if they live in this area so they can walk. Even though Chicago does have a mass transit system, can they walk to get the basic necessities that they need on a daily basis? Yeah, a grocery store, a pharmacy, maybe a hand, what is it called? Like hardware and stuff like that. Maybe like something like a Target's, stuff like that, household goods and stuff like that. And that's what they tend to spend, or household tend to spend most of their money on. Now, I believe that, but what nonprofits? What are we doing with the nonprofits? What is that about? So you lost me right there. Unless the nonprofit has something to do with economic development, I'm not for sure. While allowing dozens of TIF district to expire, TIF district divert the portion of the property tax revenue away from the various taxing bodies for up to 23 years to set the money aside for economic development initiatives. Okay, Johnson's administration officials have said it will cost $81 million a year in debt service to borrow $250 million. So it could cost the city $2.4 billion through 2061. Don't know if that's I'm trying to think. I don't got mine. Let me see if I could. What is that percentage? That's like a 33%. 32%. 32% on the dollar that you paying. Actually, the city will be paying. That's a high cost to borrow some money. Anyway, last week facing pushback, the alderman who complained the mayor originally borrowed plan lacked the transparency, and Johnson administration agreed to some changes to the proposal to give the city council more oversight. The changes will require the city council to approve all individual projects of more than $5 million and mandate quarterly progress. I think that's a good thing. Yeah, they should require. I think even over $1 million they should require. Some aldermen have said that the threshold for city council approval of individual projects should be lowered to $1 million. Didn't I just say that? I didn't even read that part. I didn't read that part. Yeah, $1 million. But the finance committee on Wednesday rejected the change for the mayor's plan before sending the measure to the full city council. Oh, they didn't like the plan. Bill Conway last week has sought to downsize the mayor plan from 1.25 billion to 350, but his proposal was voted down. So Bill Conway is more, he doesn't want this big bill, $1.25 billion. I wouldn't agree to that. Let's first initially buy 350. I agree with Bill. Let's initially see how you use this 250. And I have a question. I don't know much about city council. You agreed to this 1.25 billion. It's over a course of 6 years or 5 years or whatever. It's over a course. It's what is it? Yeah, of course of 5 years. Once it approved on year one, does it go back in front of for approval to re-up the 250 million? I would think it should, but it sounds like it's not. It sounds like once he gets approved to the 1.25 billion, this money will still come in. I'm not for sure if I like that. Anyway. So that's that. Ken act of kindness. Holy smokes, sad way to overload the cities. Kim Johnson says you should see some of the areas where the migrants live. It's nasty and full of trash. I wouldn't be surprised. Because some of the places where I showed a video. This was a while back when some of the migrants were staying at the police department. It was filth there too. And one of the police officers, I guess in where they park at, some of the migrants be hanging out wherever, doing whatever they're doing, drugs, sex. I think some police officers got caught having sex with some of the migrants. And it was a big mess. They just had trash everywhere. Somebody was writing on the concrete saying F the popo. Just real ridiculous stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised. Let me just go back. So he wanted to borrow. Mayor Brenda Johnson wants to borrow $1.25 billion, which doesn't make any sense. And his plans doesn't make any sense. And he just doesn't make any sense. Like Mayor Brenda Johnson, he doesn't make any sense. Ken Act of Kindness says New York illegals protest to get houses each what? 46 million months ago for a few tents. More waste than 70 million. Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, New York is in the same predicament as Chicago. Only thing about different from New York, I think your guy, Mayor Eric Adams, he's kind of more organized than Mayor Brandon Johnson. Mayor Brandon Johnson, he just doing willy-nilly. It seemed like Eric Adams does have a team that gets shit done. Not with Brandon Johnson. And Brandon Johnson or Eric Adams, he got a bunch of backlash because they did build a tent for one of the migrants and they bust them out. I don't know if you guys remember that. They bust the migrants out there, and they was like, shit, I ain't staying here. They didn't want to stay in none of the tents. So they was like, no, take me back to that hotel, that nice hotel room. Kim Johnson, take that money and send them back to Venezuela. They are committing all sorts of crimes here, especially theft in retail stores. Yeah, we know that. They're committing theft in retail stores. They probably robbing people. She was a immigrant, and she said she's been here for years legally. She came over here legally, and she was saying how how disrespectful they are, and they just be breaking into people's cars and stuff in our area. It's really ridiculous. John Luna, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate you. It says, can only stay a minute. I'm at work, but wanted to show some support. I absolutely love your channel and commentary. Keep up the great work. Go Chawanne Burns. Thank you for the super chat, John. I really appreciate you. So you guys put in the chat. Let me know what you think. Let me see what else before I get off, because I wanted to share Fani Willis with you. Fani Willis is getting some backlash about her open records request. She's challenging open records requests. I don't know why she's challenging it. She's claiming that she doesn't have to fall under the rules and regulations or the open records request laws because she is the district attorney office. Now, a news media outlet is asking for information in regards to Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, and their meetings with White House officials, because I'm assuming that they're trying to create a story surrounding that event. And we all know that more than likely, Fani Willis or Fulton County period, or Georgia, created this case against Donald Trump because they coordinated the efforts with the White House. Why else would Georgia DA, Fulton County, a county DA, attend meetings at the White House? Somebody give me a lifeline. Why else would a Fulton County DA or any DA of that matter attend a meeting at the White House unless you're getting a promotion? Like, oh, we want to promote you to something else. Somebody put a lifeline. Okay, so it says Willis is leading the case against former president, and he was accused of trying to overturn the election in Georgia. Okay. Of course, they're saying that he is the Republican presidential nominee for 2024, and he has pled not guilty to these charges. It says Willis' office was hit with a complaint from Just the News. This is a news website, said the district attorney's office has failed to comply with the law by not providing requested records of any meetings and communications between Willis or Nathan Wade with White House or Justice Department officials. This request came while Willis was under scrutiny over her relationship with Wade and the special prosecutor she hired in the case. Michael Roman, a co-defendant in the case, said Wade had 2 meetings with the White House employees in 2022. Roman called for Willis to be removed from the case because of the relationship, but after a hearing, Judge Scott McAfee, he ruled that she could remain if Wade resigned. And so they appealed this decision. In the appeal, and I'm saying they, I believe Donald Trump and his co-conspirators allegedly appealed this decision, because basically in his ruling, if you just to refresh your memory, Judge McAfee ruling basically said, yeah, I know you lied, but and some of the stuff that you said is unsavory and it's questionable. The actions you took as the district attorney, but Nathan Wade could stay, and you could. Nathan Wade could only stay if you drop the case, or Nathan Wade, you must get rid of Nathan Wade, and you could stay. So I think he took a coward move. He should have just ruled on the decision, and none of this would have been appealed anyway. But, he's trying to keep his job. He's going up for re-election next year. So is it next year or this year? Anyway, he's up for re-election. And the latest development on the open records request, Willis' office said in a court papers that it is an entity not capable of being sued and has immunities under Georgia law. It's funny. uh, Donald Trump is trying to use immunities because of his status, and she's trying to use immunities because of her status. She said it's exempt from disclosure under the Open Records Act. I'm not for sure about the law, but if you really think about it, it kind of makes sense. If it's open cases right now, you know, if does it pertain to this criminal indictment? I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not for sure. It does kind of make sense what she's saying, but does it really make sense? Because you provide all this other evidence. Actually, when Ashley Merchant was trying to get some stuff, they was blocking her from some of the information. So she couldn't fulfill open records requests. As a matter of fact, when she went in front of the Georgia committee, that hearing, she told them that she had a lawsuit suing Fulton County because they denied her from some of the records that she was trying to get. Anyway, plaintiff's complaint, and can what's her name? Fani Willis say, oh no, this is the district attorney office. We don't fall under that, I guess, jurisdiction or legislation. I'm not for sure. Plaintiff's complaint against the Fulton County District Attorney Office should be dismissed as matter of law because Fulton County District Attorney Office is not an entity that can be sued. So you're saying Fulton County, nobody could sue District Attorney Fulton County? I'm not for sure how true that is. Newsweek contacted Fulton County District Attorney Office by email to comment on the story. And I guess they haven't responded. Why are you challenging an open records request and triggering a lawsuit seeking White House communications if you didn't do anything wrong? You have a lot to hide for an innocent person. This was Harrison. I guess who is this from? Harrison Floyd. Harrison Floyd, that's what he put on his X account. So Fani Willis responded, and the people that's representing Just the News is American First Legal. They wrote up an amicus brief in a response to Willis' office arguing that Georgia Open Records Act applies to the DA office as well. Okay. And it's saying that Willis is actually facing some inconsistencies. I don't know if you guys remember this. Now, Jim Jordan is after Fani Willis in the DA office because they're questioning her spending habits, illegal use or misappropriation of federal dollars, things of that nature. And then they also question if she actually coordinated this whole thing with Trump with the White House. So they sent over requests for information. She was supposed to have it back by March the 28th. And I'm not for sure. I know she responded saying to Jim Jordan saying the request is way too broad, is too much to respond in that time because she will have to pull people that's actually working on cases to respond to what they want. So I'm not for sure if she responded or not, but they were talking about they will hold her in contempt of court if she doesn't provide that information. Okay. So that was it. That was it about Fani. I haven't talked about her in a long time, but there you have it. Okay. No more anchor babies. What does that mean? Hi, go political. Stop the violence. Thank you for the compliment. Kafifi with ASMR, bruh. Keep up the great work. Proud of you. Daniel Cunningham, hello to you as well. So you guys, that was it for our live stream today. I really appreciate every single last one of you. I am sending all my good to you, and I will talk to you tomorrow.